Okay. It is good afternoon and welcome back to Allergic to Stupidity. It is March the 28th. I've already made this comment twice this week, if not 3 times. What the boo happened to the week, to the month, to the year? We're almost a quarter of the way through 2025. And I'm going to be bluntly honest, the first quarter of the year has not been great. It's been pretty lousy, as we all know, with all the terror threats and everything else. And more snow that we've seen in a very long time in Southern Ontario. So we're going to put the first quarter of the year on the back shelf of the bookshelf. Okay. So my first comment is, I hope everybody's enjoying my channel. It is, like I said, when I started this last fall, it's just a place for me to rant. Mental health, get out there and just get out there and rant. Just my mentality. It has since evolved. As we can see, those people who are regulars that come here, you're going to notice that it has evolved. We now have Thursday's Business, where I check over online Canadian businesses that will ship to you. There's lots of Canadian businesses there, out in Sobeys and Fortinos and Freshco and things like that, but they're not businesses that are smaller and will ship to you. That's the two whammies. Canadian Tire is a larger business, which I did last week, but they will ship to you. So that's my Thursday business. I now have Saturdays, Happy Saturdays, which is just giggles and laughs at something I've seen online or something like last week has happened to me. But it's just, let's look at a little more upbeat kind of mentality. I'm hoping also to evolve. So we have Canada Pride Day. So that once a week I talk about things that we as Canadians have to be proud of. It can be inventions we've discovered, developed, inventions we've discoveries we've made, etc., etc. So that's sort of where it is, what it's about. And today's cuppa, and this is not my LOL, but it's my F. This is my third attempt, because halfway through the last attempt, as I'm reviewing it, my whole computer seized on me, so it's like, great. So reboot, and here I am. Gotta look at the bright side. There's a silver lining to everything. Sometimes it's hard to find, but there's a silver lining to everything. But today's chit chat, or cuppa, with Bev is peace at any cost only causes war. And we are at a point where it is time, and we are as Canadians, but it's time as a world to stop just enabling American administration from walking all over the rest of the world, from going, not quite kowtowing to them, but giving in to them in little ways, shape, or form, because they're the biggest economy and they've got a really large military and just start saying no. And that phrase of peace at any cost causes war, the first time I used it was eons and eons ago, and it was my local church where I was a lay reader, so that's not the person that can give communion or bless the bread and the wine, but I can give morning services, or could in that district. The minister in question was a delightful older lady, like older lady, and her heart was in the right place. I give her that her heart was such in the right place, but she had no people skills. She literally did her own thing. She never thought about how her actions affected other people. But she really couldn't get mad at her, because she literally was just trying to make everybody happy. And I was very, very pregnant at the time, and I was a lay reader, and I went in to do my service that day, and I stayed up till 10 or 11 or 12 at night when I really should have been horizontal sleeping, because it was my 4th child. So, and I had 3 little people running around, and so I was exhausted. But I stayed up and I wrote my sermon, and I planned my service, and I walked into church that Sunday morning, and a friend of mine came running out going, "Bev, go home and get your flute. We're going to play this song." I went, "What? What are you talking about?" She said, just go get your flute. It's going to be fine. She was trying to keep peace. And out comes this minister. So, oh, hi, Bev, how you doing? Oblivious to what she'd done. And she had decided halfway through the week that she was going to have First Communion for this group of local youths. And that's fine. But she didn't call me and tell me. She just did it and thought it was going to be fine. And part of the reason she could get away with it is because for so many times we've gone, yeah, that's just her. That's just her. That's just her. And I'm sure we all know somebody that they got a really bad sense of humor and their jokes are cutting and insulting and belittling. And other people go, that's just him. That's his sense of humor. It might be his sense of humor or her sense of humor, but it doesn't make it okay. So I went home, I got my flute, we played music, we did whatever. And then our church, because it was so little, we would go out for brunch every Sunday. My kids loved it. And I went in and sat down, and one of the other major people in the church came up to me and says, okay, but what the hell did you do? I said, oh, nothing. Everything's fine. Everything's fine. Everything's fine. And she went, no, because your actions speak louder than words, and you didn't take communion. I said, it's fine. She said, no, what did she do? So I told her, I said, but you know, it's just, it's her. It's her. It's just her. But that was the peace at any cost. And it got to the point where I wouldn't even let her baptize my child. No, not happening. And she couldn't get it. I didn't tell her she couldn't do it. But as soon as the new minister came in, like 3 weeks later, because we were flipping ministers, I walked up to that new minister. I said, I have a baby that needs to be baptized. And she looked at me and she looked at me and said, okay, no problem. That sounds good. Nice way to start my time here. And she asked me later, and I told her. I said, this is why. I just had enough. So in all of that, I wrote a letter that I was going to give to the minister who had no people skills. And I had it on the kitchen counter. And bless my mother's soul, she read it. I think I even asked her to proof it. And she said, Bev, you can't do that. You can't give that to her. I said, why not? She said, Bev, because it'll hurt her feelings. And I looked my mom square in the eye and I said, Mom, peace at any cost causes wars. And she looked at me. And she says, what? I said, peace at any cost causes war. Prime Minister Chamberlain bent over backwards to keep peace with Hitler. Because England didn't want to go into another war, because World War I had just finished. They're still digging themselves out economically. They're still rebuilding their country. They don't want to go to another war. But Chamberlain also had he's a gentleman. He wouldn't break his treaties. Roll my eyes, can we see where this is going? I said, Mom, what happened? Chamberlain caved to Hitler, gave in on Czechoslovakia, and turn around and what, a year and a half later, he invaded Poland, and the Commonwealth and Europe was at war. Peace at any cost causes war. And she walked away, came back 5, maybe 10 minutes later. I said, you know, Bev, you're right, even at a personal level. I said, that's what this is about. And I put it to letter. She said, because now my dad's, his whole family had died, and the only one left was his mom. So his mom just moved in with my parents for her last few years, because like where else, she couldn't take care of herself. Not in that era, we're talking the 1950s, like and out in the East Coast, so like, no. So she moved in, but because she had spent her whole life being in control, she was trying to control Mom and drove Mom crazy. And she said, I always just gave in because it was easier, because I didn't want to fight. I didn't want people angry at each other, so I just gave in. And she said the number of times I just wanted to pack my stuff up and go home because I couldn't take it anymore. I said, you're right. Peace at any cost causes war. So how does this relate to now? We're back to that point. We're back to the late 1930s. 1938, 1939. And instead of being Hitler, we've got Trump. And whoever's behind him manipulating him. Because I don't think this is all 100% Trump by himself. And we need to stand up now. And we've not kowtowed to them as badly as Prime Minister Chamberlain did to Hitler in as extensive a way. And we have our government has stood up and protected certain industries like lumber and dairy, which includes eggs, which I find humorous. I understand it's together, but eggs don't come out of cows. And they have done and protected that. But now with Trump ignoring all treaties and all negotiations, just like Hitler did with that treaty about Czechoslovakia and Poland and all the rest of it, he just ignored it. He did the same thing to Russia. We've got Trump doing the same thing and coming in and saying, it's going to become the 55th state. I know we're going to make it the 51st state. Now he's doing it to Greenland. And this is where Greenland has gone, no, this peace at any cost is crap. And they literally refused to entertain the advances. Why the second lady is going out on diplomatic missions, because that's what it is beyond me. No first lady, let alone a second lady, has ever done that. They all had their things they worked out at home. Even Melania had her things that she worked out at home. So why the second lady was going on this diplomatic trip to Greenland when they weren't even invited is beyond my comprehension, except for to strike their aren't we wonderful and fantastic mentality. And the Greenlanders refused to entertain them, refused them to go into the city hall, refused to have them go into stores, refused to have them go into homes, refused, to the point they had to cancel that part of the trip to Greenland, and they just went up and visited the American military base that's on the north end of Greenland. Greenland standing up and saying, no, we think we may have learned from World War II. Denmark is saying, no. We're as Canadians, let me get all the words out, standing up, and we need to keep standing up. Now let's understand, it's not going to be easy. Just like standing up to somebody in your workplace or a family member or whatever, it's not always easy. And it's going to be rough. But we all have to put our petty arguments aside and stand up and not go and allow it. So taking all the liquor, American liquor, off of the shelves, having the provinces finally agree to free trade between the provinces, which that one always still killed me. We're all in one country. Why the Blue Blazes are we not trading? And if it costs us a little more, it costs us a little more. Just put your hand out and help the guy beside you. We need to work together, and we can do it. We don't want to beat the Americans as the American individuals. We just want to stop this crap that the Trump administration is putting through. And the comparison, the analogy, is the minute Hitler was beaten, everybody was in there helping Germany rebuild. Because Germany couldn't do it by itself. It had been decimated. And those people who were more successful at being able to blend were the ones that were able to recognize that the problem was the administration as in Hitler and not the individuals. So my guide leader was a German. And she just immigrated to Canada right after the war and settled like right down the road from here. But everybody accepted her because they knew it wasn't her. They knew it was the government. So, my comment today is, peace at any cost causes war. So let's not have peace in that way. And meaning, don't keep going, it's okay, I'll just adjust. It's okay, I'll just adjust. Some battles are not worth having. So does the toilet paper go over the top of the roll or down the bottom? Guys, that really doesn't matter as long as there's toilet paper on it and you got it. But somebody walking through my house on my oak floors that don't have a laminate on it with his big mucky boots, that is a big deal, and that's a fight that's worth having. Trump trying to push his way into Canada because he wants our minerals and he wants our hydro, that's a big deal. That he gets mad because he doesn't like Poilievre because Poilievre said something nasty about him, so I don't want to deal with him. Well, Trump, you're an idiot, but that's not worth yelling and screaming about. But him belittling the leader of our country by calling him a governor, depending on what leader you're talking about, is insulting. And that's worth yelling and screaming about because it's insulting. Because it's implying that we aren't a country. And the only reason he ever said Governor Trudeau is because he didn't like Trudeau, because Trudeau stood up to him and told him off in a politer method than his father once said. But Trump doesn't like people who stand up against him. So guess what? Let him not like us. Let him sit there and say we're nasty to negotiate with. We're only nasty to negotiate because we are not going peace at any cost. And we are standing up and saying enough is enough, which is good. And we need to keep going. We can't negotiate with a man. He refuses to negotiate with a man. He refuses to negotiate with other people. He just does his own thing. So, there's my message for today. Peace at any cost only causes wars, whether it's in your household or on the world stage. Pick your battles really carefully, like the toilet paper. It's not worth the battle. And be willing to go to war for those battles that are worth it. Take care, guys, and this is till next time. Tomorrow is Saturday, so tomorrow is Happy Saturday. Take care.